guys, welcome to Gamers Den. We got a lot of fun today.
Yes.
Yes.
Good to be here again.
Oh yeah.
I'm happy to be here for the first time.
Yeah, see, welcome, Jed. Welcome. This is gonna be a fun show. I don't know how much you know about it, but welcome because we're gonna have a party. That's the way it always is.
Sounds good. Hey, I took half the day off for this. I'm here for a party.
You took half the day off for this? Oh, see.
Oh.
Kara, we have made it big time.
Whoa. Okay, so we have to make this super special then, super worthwhile.
It's already worthwhile.
Aww. He's such a charmer. Where'd you come from?
Right.
What do you do? Who are you? What are you about?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, that's why you're in the show.
So how do you like the new 12 o'clock time, Kara?
I like it. It's good, except I realized that Henry hasn't had his lunch, so I might have to do that real quick.
Oh, see, I have a buddy who he I don't know if he's still doing his podcast. Mookie Harris, he's out of Indiana. We used to do a lot of improv comedy together, and really great guy. Love him to death. But he started a show during the pandemic called the Dinosaur Snack Time. He is one of the leads of the lead, I guess, educators at the museum in Indiana. Mm-hmm. That deals with dinosaurs.
Indianapolis, the Children's Museum. It's big time. It's the real deal.
So I don't know if you've been down there. If you have, go see Mookie. Mookie is one of the greatest guys. Love him to death. I've known him for years. I'm trying to get him on the show, but he started Dinosaur Snack Time and would eat snacks and everything else, all through.
That sounds amazing. I need to know this man.
Oh yeah. Mookie is a cool guy. Hopefully,
dinosaur snack time. Wow.
Yes. So hopefully one of these days we'll get him on the show. My question is, since Jed, this is your first time here, you got to introduce yourself to everybody.
I guess I do.
Yes.
So, obviously, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over words today. I don't know why.
We're so pretty. Jacoby and I are so pretty.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
That's what
I'm stunned by beauty. So, my name is Jed Schaefer. I'm a father of three. Been a gamer for almost 40 years. I have a video game column and a podcast. They're both on the same theme. It's called the Gamer Parent Strategy Guide. And the whole idea of the column is that as a gamer parent, my parents, and I think all the parents, all of us in this generation, this first generation of gaming, the people that grew up with the Atari and the Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, that era, our parents didn't game. They were just like, here's a Nintendo, have fun. This will keep you off the streets. So we're growing up, or we have kids now, and our kids are gaming. We don't know what to do because you learn parenting kind of like by mirroring your parents and remembering what they did and kind of carrying it forward, or learning lessons and not. And since our parents didn't game, we're kind of having to make up these rules as we go along. So I figured, well, if we got to make up these rules as we go along, some people are going to need guidance. Some people are going to be, looking for advice. What do we do? How do we handle the situation? I'm a parent. I'm a gamer. Combined them. There we are.
That fits in perfect line with what we're trying to do here. The goal of this show is to break barriers. One of the biggest barriers, as you discussed, is that parent-child barrier. A lot of as you said, a lot of the parents are confused about what kids are playing. That especially are not gamers. And
Absolutely.
their first idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, when they hear, if they're not a gamer and they hear Fortnite or first person or a third person shooter or first person shooter, first thing they think of is guns.
Oh, definitely. They hear video games and they think it's nothing more than a old motorcycle. And that was an interesting noise.
Sorry, you were talking about street fighting, and then my pets were trying to emulate. They're like, Street Fighter.
Okay.
Go on.
I was about to say that you're in an elaborate bathroom right now and you didn't have to flush the toilet.
But yeah, to what you said, when non-gamer parents hear video games, they hear murder, they hear mayhem, they hear gunfire. They think that it's this machine that just creates lunatics and amoral monsters, and it's not. It's I mean, aside from the fact that there are statistics that you could look at the rate of violent crime dropping as the ownership of video games has gone up over the years, but even just anecdotally, I know dozens and hundreds of gamers. I don't know any criminals and lunatics. It's just a game.
Yeah. And like I said, that's the goal of this show, is to break that barrier, to get parents to look at games in a different light, to see games, for example, Fortnite. Fortnite is more than just shooting. Fortnite is a heck of a lot more than shooting. There's a lot of strategy behind the game. There's a lot of communication when you do a lot of the duos and the trios and the squad based settings. And even there's a whole rotation. When you land, there's a particular rotation that you have to take, or that you should take, to avoid and actually mine and build and just begin to get yourself to a position where you can last or possibly win. But parents don't see that. So that's one of the biggest barriers that I'm trying to get through, and also to get the kids on the other side to see that that we're trying to get them to see that there's more to gaming than just pushing a couple of buttons. There's the programming side, there's the development side, there's the art side. I mean, I don't know if you guys, it's going to be, well, no, I didn't put it in the news stories, but one of the news stories I was going to add, I don't know if you guys saw, Jed, Kara, I know you're in the health field, but this is actually really cool. Is that there's a guy who was just paid $10,000 by Rockstar because he actually modified the game for GTA Online or Grand Theft Auto Online to increase the load times. Well, speed up the load times. So he got paid $10,000 for figuring out a way to make the load times better and the game experience better. So that's just gaming. And there's other situations that happen that way. But kids don't, a lot of times, that's on the other side, is that kids don't see the advantages that you can get from gaming. But that's again what the show's about.
Exactly. And that's kind of what my column is about too, is reaching out, and my podcast is both reaching out to parents and saying, here's this obstacle, here's a situation that maybe you, even though you're a gamer, you don't have that base of knowledge because you haven't, this is the first time that we've been through this with our kids. Like you were mentioning Fortnite and people not having knowledge base about it. I'm not an online gamer. I have always been a solo gamer. That I was an only child, so I never had to share anything with a brother or sister. So I've always been just solo game minded. One of my columns, I decided I would do a week with Fortnite. Every day I played Fortnite just to see, because my kids were obsessed with it. I thought, you know what? I can't live on the rumor. I can't continue to operate from this frame of mind of what Twitter says it is and what other parents say it is. I need to experience this for myself, so that way I can say to parents, this is what Fortnite is. And to my astonishment, it wasn't what social media said it was. It's still not my kind of game. I'm just not competitive, but it is a very well-developed game. It is a very strategic game. The creative mode is amazing. The things that I saw in the creative mode, there was one person who made a first-person Resident Evil style survival horror game. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I was able to walk away and go, look, Fortnite isn't as bad as you think it is. You don't have to necessarily like it. You don't have to play it, but it is not the devil. It's not. There are far, far worse things that your kids could be doing, even on a video game machine, than playing Fortnite. It's remarkably innocent in comparison.
Oh, so true. So true. Same thing, honestly. Same thing with Grand Theft Auto, because that's coming back up. People starting because of shootings. Oh, well, it's because of video games. Oh, Grand Theft Auto. That's usually one of the first ones that pops up.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole storyline, the whole actual purpose of the game, even though it gives you freedoms, there's more to it. So much more to it. But
you look back in the history of video games too, violence has always been there. I mean, if you really want to get technical, Mario was stomping turtles.
Yeah.
Dude was going after endangered species like there was 100 million of them on the planet.
So true.
Just saying.
Reckless, by the way. Very reckless. Don't stomp on turtles, kids.
Right? What did turtles do to you? They're slow. They're cool. They walk with their own house on their back.
I mean, duck hunt too. You're shooting at birds. Guns.
Right.
Yep.
And then that stupid dog will pop up and laugh at you. I mean, if you fail, that game bullies you.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it was such a bad game. But it was so much fun. So much fun. Here's a question. Before we stay to get on the lighter side of things, since you're dealing with parents, what's one of the funniest things you've had to deal with?
Honestly, it's mostly been people with preconceived notions about situations. And usually it's coming from gamer parents themselves. It's funny to see how much people build up this own image in their heads. One of my recent versions of the column was about shovelware. And you don't think of shovelware. Most gamers just think of shovelware and you just kind of brush it off. I'm not buying Ninja Bread Man. No one's buying Ninja Bread Man. Only the truly insane are buying Ninja Bread Man. But it really is kind of an issue because kids don't have that discerning factor. They just see this box with this cute gingerbread guy on the cover and he's holding a samurai sword and he's like, cool, I want that. And the price tag's $9.99 and you go, huh. Well, I could get this and it's only $10 and it'll make him happy, but at the same time, I know it's garbage and it's very funny, like I said, to watch gamers. I really try to take the topics that I've tackled so far and really give a both sides argument, and then zero in on not necessarily a solution, but just go, hey, look at the situation this way. Maybe it's not as bad as you think. Maybe there's a way around it. And watching gamers in the comments that I've gotten back, watching gamers look at it and go, huh, I never really thought it was that bad. I never really thought I never really thought about it that way before. It's like, I just want to go, you never really thought, did you? You just, there's so many people who just follow the leader on it. And I think that's been the funniest part so far is just watching people go, huh? Oh,
Yeah, it's just what I'm waiting, and it's gonna blindside me thinking of those just bad games that people just play because people tell them to play it. That happened to ET. Remember when the movie came out? Everybody was on the movie like crazy, loved the movie. It was the greatest thing. Oh my gosh, this is going to win so many Oscars, Emmys, everything in the world. They dropped the game. Oh, I got to buy that Atari ET.
I was one of them. I had it.
Me too. Kara, I don't know if you've ever played ET. We talked about
I've heard of it. I've seen it. I just haven't played it.
That was one of the most pointless, worst games you could ever play in your life. I think it actually is listed as the worst game.
Yeah, it looked pretty stupid.
Most lists I've seen, it's like top 3, if not number 1.
I mean, you had like 3 screens you would go to. You would go to a camp scene. You would have the spaceship scene, and then with another scene. And you had no clue of what to do. Absolutely no clue of what to do. And then you would raise a finger, and that was it. And then had no clue. Oh, and I remember his head would go up and down.
Yeah, you had to do that to like get out of the well or whatever.
Like, what is this?
Like Tamagotchi on Atari?
Slightly less technologically advanced than a Tamagotchi.
Yeah. Oh, I would have taken Tamagotchi times 10 over ET. It was just that bad. Oh God.
I had a couple Tamagotchis.
Have you seen the movie Atari Game Over?
No, I didn't watch it.
It's a documentary. Last I knew it was available on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It is about ET.
Really?
It's about it's partly about the development and what happened with ET, and then it's also about the story, the supposed legend about how when the crash happened in '83, that Atari dumped all the games, all their surplus, landfill in Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Oh.
So half of it is about the development, and half of it is about the documentary or the documentarist. Trying to determine if that was a legend or if it was actually real, and doing a dig at the place that he thought the site was at.
Oh wow! Okay. I've got to find it.
It's worth it though, but for both stories, because like it gives the backstory of how the ET was developed, which was the craziest, most unbelievable backstory you've ever heard for a video game development.
Okay.
And then for the rest of it,
to find this.
It's really good. It's only like an hour, maybe hour 15. Okay. So it's not, it's not a huge investment, but it goes really quick. It's really informative and it's really entertaining. But I'm not going to say you're going to see ET in a whole new light, but it is going to. It's going to color in a reason why it's so reviled.
All right, I'm gonna have to do a watch party on this one. Especially if it's on Amazon Prime, I can do the watch parties.
Nice.
Yes. That'd be fun.
I did a watch party with Coming to America 2 last night.
How was that?
How did I not know this?
Because it was just something I was just trying to just play with. Because I had never done a watch party. I was like, hey.
But you started off with a highly anticipated movie. You could at least do it with an episode of Teletubbies.
You're trying to get people to watch, not drive them away.
Yeah. So
it was like a test episode.
So I'm a big fan of Coming to America 1. I was a huge fan. Great movie.
How was it? How was number 2?
So I've seen it twice because I watched it, but then I wanted, everybody's talking about it. I'll do a watch party, see if others will watch it. Well, I mean, in all honesty, the movie, it had the same problem that I felt that Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, and 7, 8, 9 had. Well, 7 and 9 had. 8 tried to create create a whole new story, which I thought that's what they were going to do. But what was it? Rise of Skywalker was 9, and 7 was The Force Awakens. So The Force Awakens was no more than just A New Hope redone. And Rise of Skywalker was just a remake of number 6. What was number 6? Empire Strikes Back was number 4, and then it was Return of the Jedi. So it was kind of a mix between those because you didn't need the Emperor. Why are you going to have the Emperor in The Last Skywalker? And in Coming to America, that's the same thing they did. All they did was remake Coming to America 1 with a lot of the same lines. They took some movie clips of the first one, but it started to shine. It did really well when they tried to venture out into new areas. But overall, it's probably I would say a 50 because I didn't need to see Eddie Murphy back in or Akeem in the same New York Knicks outfit that he did in Coming to America 1. I didn't need to see the same beatbox girls that were in episode 1. I didn't need to hear the same lines that were in episode 1. So
it's so sad.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's worth the watch just because it was cool to see kind of everybody coming back together. But if you're looking for a new experience or something different, I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, it was okay. Wasn't something to really write home about. Judas and the Black Messiah, though, that was a phenomenal movie. Oh my gosh. I'm loving this HBO stuff where they're releasing these films. Like Wonder Woman 1984 was
Yeah.
I did not really want to hear, the I Dream of Genie. Hey, this is Aladdin. I don't need to know about you're now a genie granting wishes to everybody. But yeah, so I love my movies too. Speaking of, Jed, what'd you watch recently?
Let's see. Last couple movies I saw weren't really new movies. They were new to me. I watched the 1984 horror movie Chud.
Yes, that was with Bud the Chud.
I the way I described, I wrote a review of it on Letterboxd, and the way I described it was with a name like Chud, when you know that it's an 80s horror movie and it's called Chud, and you see the cover where it's got the demon hand coming out of the manhole cover, and you see New York City in the background, and you know that Chud stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller.
Yep.
You've got a picture in your mind of what that movie is, and it's not even that movie. It is so different. Like,
it's so bad.
It's like a police procedural with underground sewer demons just kind of dropped in the middle of it.
Kara, it is one of it's not on ET level bad, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a so bad it's good riff tracks, Mystery Science Theater kind of movie.
Yeah, because that was the one where they were chasing the guys in the farmhouse, and one of them lost their head. Is that the one? And they were kicking it out the farmhouse, or was that Bud the Chud?
That might be Bud the Chud. I haven't seen that one.
Bud the Chud had me crying. I mean, it was just so funny because at one point they were chasing the Chud were chasing individuals in a farmhouse. They climbed up to the top of the farmhouse, and somehow one of the Chuds lost their head. They went to pick it up, but they kept kicking it and kicked it out, so it fell out. It was just so dumb. Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
I mean, there's a word that is chud in either movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
See, Kara, I'm going to corrupt you. I'm going to corrupt you. You got to watch these crazy things now.
Can you look at my face?
I
It's
know.
already corrupted. I can't hide my face. I've
yeah,
tried.
no, you look deeply scared.
Terrified.
If
I
it makes you feel
somehow
any,
also have like visions of banjos and like weirdness. It's too close to home.
if
Think
this
about-
will restore
literally.
any respect and show you that I do have a tad of culture, I also watched a Hitchcock movie last weekend. So
I mean,
Very nice.
you watch what you want to watch because sometimes those weird, like guilty pleasure, like what the hell is this kind of movie? It's like, well, at least I've had that experience of watching this movie, and now I don't have to anymore. But I do love Hitchcock. Hitchcock's pretty amazing. His movies.
yeah, it was only my wife had seen the thumbnail on Netflix for the remake of Rebecca, and she was like, "Well, I want to watch Rebecca," and I went, "We haven't even watched the original. If I'm going to watch the remake. I'm watching the original first." And so we found Rebecca, the original, streaming on some weird one of those free streaming apps where they drop commercials in it. And we sat and we watched that.
Who's Nivex? Kara's thinking, run away, run away. I love it. No, Kara's face is just really listening and taking it all in. And then just terror. Thank you, Nivex. You're amazing, whoever you are.
So, as you see, for everybody watching, as you see, this is what gaming's about. Gaming's really not just about focus heavily on games. Gaming's about it's about everything. Even the Bud the Chud stuff, all that's about gaming, and all that's that's what kids are watching these YouTube videos, and that's what they're seeing too. I've got a little one downstairs watching crazy YouTube stuff, not Bud the Chud stuff, but I forgot who her YouTuber now is doing crazy stuff on Minecraft, blowing up cows.
Why blowing up cows? This is the second time we've talked about blowing up cows.
I don't know. I mean, it's just fun. I guess it's fun to see the cows go flying, and the same thing with sheep going flying in Minecraft, and then they land and make a noise. And see, this is your arena, Kara. Why? What enjoyment do people get out of? What do you think? What do you think, as a health coach, people would get out of the relaxation of video games?
Well, I mean, my face says a lot of things, but also because I'm thinking real hard. Because I always find it interesting the things that we all do to just kind of deflect and tune things out. And oftentimes we do that by watching things or playing games that reflect what we typically don't think of. So it's just like opposite day. And it's a way to just kind of just be able to just deflect and not think about like normal life. So reverse of that is just weird, odd stuff. God. Like, like I personally, again, it just feels like that name gives me like weird country vibes. So I typically don't want to relax by thinking of like possible horror events from my neck of the woods,
Well, it's not.
But like people who like, so if you do things or watch things that are typical or that are atypical or the opposite of your current situation, you're just able to get out of just your environment. And it is a de-stressor thing, and it helps people not think about things, which can be good or bad. It can be an outlet of expression. It can also just be avoidance. And deeper avoidance, but we all do it. It's about recognizing it and like, is it healthy? Does it feel good to you? Are you constantly avoiding things in general? If so, what is it and why? And whether it's in health or life, we all do things. Like some people prefer to blow up cows on Minecraft. It's, they can't do it typically. Hopefully they're not doing it in real life. I'm assuming they don't, otherwise they wouldn't do it more in a video game. Weird. Weird obsession.
Interesting.
Yeah. We all do weird things. It's just so that our minds don't go crazy. Because a lot of times when we're in our present environment, we stick to default behaviors, default thought patterns, and some of it isn't good. Maybe we're trying to escape from that. And video games are great from what I remember when I was a kid, and from what I gather from you amazing hooligans, is that, it develops skills, sometimes social skills, sometimes motor skills, or strategic skills. So getting yourself out of that situation of maybe you feel powerless and that you're not a critical thinker, but here you are just kicking ass and taking names in a critical thinking video game, so that can also be a confidence booster and help you kind of get out of your feeling of being stuck. But yeah.
What would you, I guess, for like, if Jed is writing a column, what would you tell Jed as some good advice to tell a parent who's got a child who's gaming, and how that parent may think it's unhealthy?
I mean, it sounds like Jed, it sounds like you're doing a great job anyways, just always providing perspective, because it goes back to what, we've talked about in the last couple episodes of Gamers Den, where the unknown is scary. And the more you know about it, the more objective points you know about things, like, oh, this is what it's about. It just takes away that fear. And when we have fear, we have this whole survival mode going on. So when you replace the fear with options and understanding, then it's like, oh, okay, it's taken the, air out of the balloon. And then you're just able to just really know what's going on versus have your own standard wired version of what you think's going on in games. So it is important to just be able to know that your kid is okay when he or she plays video games. And it's probably a really good thing for this kid. Are boundaries important? Yes. Always talking to your kid about video games, that's super important, because it also helps with understanding, and it also helps helps form that relationship with your child. Let's say your child's having like a bad day, or just having a bad time in general, and you're able to kind of help that kid feel like he or she's supported, versus I can only drown out this emotional noise by playing video games. So I think it's great that, Jed, you're already just providing all this information. So that's awesome.
Thank you. Like you said, parents, fear the unknown is a huge fear, and that's kind of what I'm trying to, whether you are a gamer and a parent, or whether you are just a parent and have kids who are gamers and you don't know, gaming is just such a wide spectrum. Like, I'm a console gamer, I don't PC game. PC gaming is an unknown world to me. So even being a gamer, it's still possible to have barriers up, and be kind of focused in a tunnel. So it or what I was saying earlier about my experience with Fortnite. So many gamers I know, they think they hear Fortnite and it's Fortnite is the worst thing on earth. It's it's worse than the coronavirus. It's like, no, just try it. Just play it for an hour. But like you said, it's fear. The unknown is the scary thing. I want to educate and get people talking and and give people enough knowledge to make educated decisions about being a parent.
Definitely. And there's even this bias, and Jatobi and we've talked about this before, where there's even a bias with people who game in general, where it's like, oh, you game? Like, do you also live in your mom's basement?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case with everyone who games, but there's that stereotype of, one, are you a criminal in disguise, just ready to come out from your little video game hub, or two, are you an undateable male in your mom's basement? And so being able to like break out of those and just get rid of all that fear and misconception, that's so important. So, and you being able to be like, hey, Fortnite, my mom is not a fan of video games because she hasn't even played before. Dabinator Gamer, get your mom on the quickest route to Duck Hunt or Pac-Man. Just get her a Pac-Man. Stats.
Right. Go to Target. They've got those little emulators. Those arcade stand-ups are about that big. They're like $20.
Angry Birds, something.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of parents or a lot of individuals who say they're not gamers play games on their cell phones, but don't realize it's playing a game.
Like, hey, you're a gamer. Like, ooh, you're not a man in your mom's basement. You're 55-year-old woman hanging out with your grandkids.
But it's just so wild that mindset is there, is that I'm not a gamer. I'm playing Words with Friends. Words with Friends is a game.
Right?
Like, I mean,
it's digital. It's got a screen. That it's a game. There's a winning condition and a losing condition. That's a game. You don't have to play Uncharted or put 200 hours into Skyrim to be a gamer. You could be a gamer just because you're playing Bejeweled.
Yeah. And it's just that mindset. I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to get over, is that cell phone games are games. They are literally games. It's in the title. It's in the description of it. This is a game.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. We had a young lady on. Her name was Nicole Lazaro of Zio Design. She's the founder of that company. She's done a whole bunch of stuff, and she came up with this, or she had created this, where it talked about the reasons why people play games. For hard fun, easy fun, serious fun, and people fun. And it's neat. It's neat how they broke it down, and separated out each category and showed what brings people to games, like the social bonding, the mastery, to be able to, be that supersonic legend in Rocket League, the vehicle for imagination. How, Jed, you were talking about playing a lot of solo games. I play a lot of them too. One of my favorite is still Disgaea. It's a strategy RPG. Love it to death. I will play that game forever. I downloaded it on the Switch. I've got it on the PlayStation. That game is so freaking addictive for me. But that's what I play it for. It's a great vehicle for imagination. Plus, it's hard fun, the serious fun to provide meaning and value. It fits all the categories for me. But I think exactly what Devinator Gamer is talking about. it fits into this where his mother doesn't understand why, and other parents, not just his, but other parents don't understand why to play the game. And I thought this was a great example since we were on that topic.
Yeah.
I got a funny story to go along with that. So when I met my wife, she was not, I mean, she had a Nintendo as a kid, but that was the end of her gaming experience. She didn't really play games. She would watch her cousins do it, but that she really wasn't a dedicated gamer. And then she met me, and I've always been. So I brought along, when I moved across the country to be with her, I brought my PlayStation 2. And one of the games that I brought was a wrestling game where you could create your own wrestler. And she was like, she saw me playing once. She goes, "Ooh, you can create your own?" "Yeah." "Can I create my own?" "Sure you can, sweetheart." And I hand her the controller, and she figures out how to do the create a character, and suddenly she's created this character that is like this goth dominatrix type person, which is the, like, my wife is the white picket fence Americana, girl next door sweetheart. She grew up in that type of the mom and dad together and the sibling, and just everything was just Americana to the max. So the fact that
that's her alter ego.
Yeah,
like really portraying real life. So she's like, I'm gonna be a dominatrix in this, honey.
Right? Well,
that's awesome.
It gets better because her mom sees it, and her mom is just apoplectic. She's just like, I don't understand. I don't know what this is. This is the worst thing ever. And my mother-in-law made a comment just recently about, somehow video games had come up, and she goes, and Alicia was never into video games until she met you, and then she's making all these weird characters and doing all these weird things. And I'm like, chill. It was a video game character. She didn't knock over a bank. She's not doing heroin. She just created an interesting alter ego in a video game. It's
creative expression. It's like if you were coloring and you decided to, color Ariel's hair, I don't know, blonde instead of red. It's creative expression. Whatever. Right. That's crazy. But I get it. Stereotypes.
But she's from a different generation. She's from the boomer generation. It's just not in her wheelhouse. But like we've been saying, she's got that wall up. Just video games are a weird alien thing to her. And I brought video games into her daughter's life, and apparently I corrupted her. It's never been the same since. And okay, fine.
Apparently, your wife's a dominatrix on the inside. So go you for bringing that out in her. And I'm not trying to be all weird and derogatory. Like, that's good. It's really empowerment, to be honest.
Right.
Like, to be able to create a character that is not you. And for her to go against that, or go against the grain and feel comfortable to do that, kudos to your wife. She's a bad lady. Love it.
Yes, I am learning things about Kara every week, and I love it because I'm tying it all together. We had Little John, we had hip hop, and then last week we had Liddy Titty, and now we got this.
If you haven't figured this out by now, I am Cardi B on the inside.
See, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. I'm glad we do a lunch hour show or a lunch 2 hour show rather than a midnight special, because Kara would twerk.
I mean,
Kara after dark.
One of my favorite pastimes. But if you go to my little playlist, my Spotify playlist, I'll have Cardi B, and then the next song on shuffle will be like Michael McDonald. Like, whoa, hold on.
Big switch.
And then the next one, Taylor Swift. And then the next one, some like a really cool South African song with the beat. And then back to Megan Thee Stallion.
I can sympathize. My playlist will go Lisa Loeb, Slayer, Johnny Cash, Dr. Dre. And my kids are like, "What do you listen to? How do you listen to all that?" Like, because I do.
Because it's dad.
Yes, that's what I grew up listening to.
Exactly. Creative expression.
Exactly.
Very true.
Video games.
Very true. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's what's pushing a lot of the games, because you got all the different skins that are out there, and that's what people like doing. I mean, of course, in RPGs, we've been doing that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the merchant. If you're playing Fable, go to the merchant, shut the door, make sure nobody's around, and then start stealing everything. And then because in Fable, so Kara, Fable was a great game. It was
Well, I was like, is this real life or video games?
no, it's a video game. It's so great.
Okay.
So in Fable, the cool part about Fable, one thing they started doing is it's made by Lionhead Studios, Peter Monalou, that whole crew when it first came out. They had the idea of everything has to have a consequence, be it good or be it bad. Which, I mean, it's great to put in games. They have it in a bunch of the different games. But in Fable, if people saw you steal something, that person would yell everything under the sun and you would be in trouble. And that town would watch out for you. If you got cut, it would keep that cut. It was an old RPG, dragons. It had the whole nine. It was a really good RPG. It was a lot of fun.
Sounds like it should be called Tattletale.
It really was, because you could get married in 2 different towns, and the town would get you in trouble. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, polygamy is bad, even in video games, folks.
So it was fun. It's a fun game. They're actually making it for the Xbox Series X, which, if I can ever find one, it would be fun to get. I can't find an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5 because the bots are buying them up.
Oh, yes, with our friends.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, and I'm horrible with names on the spot sometimes. But yes, our friends.
Yes. Sean came on at one time.
I'm like visualizing letters in my brain. It's not working.
But yeah, he came on and was talking about how, not only is it an NVIDIA problem where with the video cards and that whole 3000 or the 3060 series is ridiculous. 3060, 3070, and 3080. Impossible to find those, and impossible to find the PlayStations and the Xboxes because they're a part of that whole grouping. But
the most bungled launch probably in history. And
the craziest part about it is it's more so the video cards or NVIDIA's fault more so than it is PlayStation and Xboxes. Because, I mean, NVIDIA makes the card for everybody.
Right. The only other part the only other factor that I would say, and I still won't put a lot on Sony and Microsoft because there's only so much that they can do as a manufacturer, but I'd say the other big thing has been the bots and the fact that the online merchants don't care at all.
No.
That all they see is someone's buying the console, good enough for me. But
this is the thing that I don't get. This is the thing that I don't get. We know that there's scalpers out there, and they're selling it for 50 to 100% markup. Why the heck are you buying it knowing it's only $500? Why are you paying $1,000?
Right. My kids are all like, I need one now. I need one now. I'm like, why? This is the beginning. You don't need one now. Game library's thin. Still working out the bugs. It's not worth $500, frankly. I don't think any console's worth. $500 is a lot to pay for much of anything to begin with. But
yeah,
I am a firm believer in waiting a year, even 2 years, after launch. Like the past 2-3 generations have shown that first wave of consoles are a mess. Like
Well, not
Red
only
Ring,
that, not only
you got
that,
stuff
but
like Red Ring of Death. You got stuff like the problems the PlayStation's had with upscaling from the PlayStation 4 to the 5.
Mhm.
Downloading the new updated version. It's just that first wave of systems is a problem.
Well, and then you also have to really even the generations that have come out from the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Well, you got the Xbox. What's the Xbox? What came out? The X, I think it was. And
The Xbox One X.
yeah, the One X. That came out only a year or two after the Xbox One came out. Same thing with the PlayStation 4 Pro. If you waited just a few years, you got the 4 Pro, which was a step up. So getting that first gen, like I made the mistake. I was happy. I was excited. I got the Xbox One. I can't even play half the games that the Xbox One X can play. Cyberpunk 2077, which can play actually on the One X, it can't play on the One. Not at all.
Yeah, I've heard. I haven't experienced it, but I've heard that on the One and the PS4, it's almost impossible to run it.
So there's no real reason to get that generation, that first gen system anymore. I mean, of course, way back when you got the Nintendo, the NES, you were good.
Mm-hmm.
The Sega Saturn, or even the Sega Saturn, was fine. Of course, then it died really quick.
Rest in peace. I loved the Saturn.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't know there was a Sega Saturn. I just thought it was like Sega Genesis.
Nope, you had the Sega Genesis. You had the Sega CD, which was an attachment onto the Genesis, which also had that. Oh my god, I love that.
Love it.
Then you had the Sega Saturn. You had the Sega Dreamcast. The cool thing about the Dreamcast, to wrap it back around a Tamagotchi, that's what it had. You basically had the game controller, then you had the memory card, and on the memory card, especially if you played the Sonic games, you had a area where you would free the animals in Sonic, and then you would take them to this one area, and you could nurture those animals in that area, and that would be on the memory card, and you could take the memory card into your Tamagotchi. You would feed your animals.
I want all of that right now.
It was like this cheap little LCD screen about 2 inches in square, and it had a tiny little D-pad, 2 tiny little buttons, and there's a few games that had mini games that you could play on the memory card. You could take the memory card with you because it had its own battery, and it was, like you said, it was like a Tamagotchi. It was really innovative.
It really was. You could play in like Madden football. You would pick your play on the Tamagotchi or on the actual memory card while it was inside the controller, rather than looking at the screen that you're playing the person on. And, Madden tried to get cute by, if you push this button, it's a fake selection. And this is your real selection. But on the actual Sega Dreamcast, you had the memory card right in front of you. Nobody could see what you were doing, and you could sit there and choose your play.
Huh. I want the animals.
The animals were cute. It was really cute.
Aww.
And I did get hooked because I would actually try and find different ones, and then you're sitting there feeding the animals and everything else.
Yeah, you're a sweetheart, and you're so much nature, and you just want everyone to be happy. So you're just hoarding animals to make sure they're happy. I could see it.
Yeah, I did.
You're like, little guy, I got you.
I did. In Sonic, because that was the point. And in Mario, you killed the turtles.
Like, I didn't even think about that, Jed, until you mentioned it. And now I don't like Mario anymore. I'm really upset.
You could actually go down a dark rabbit hole online and find a lot of examples of how Mario really is kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
There's one game. It's I think it's one of the Mario tennis games where if Luigi wins, there's a cutscene. He's holding his trophy. He's like, "Yay, I won!" And Mario's standing next to him, and Mario gets this look on his face like, "Yeah, I'm still the older brother, punk." And then the camera zooms down, and Mario is grinding his foot into Luigi's foot, like he's stepping on it and grinding it. And then it comes back up, and there's just this confused look on Luigi's face, like, "Why do you hate me?"
So one of the shows that you've got to watch, one of the YouTube shows that'll be good, and it is dark, but it's very hilarious. So it's I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Snatch, not the American one, the British one, with Brad Pitt and Jason Statham and all the other guys. Classic, phenomenal movie. It's one of the greatest movies put out. Jed, I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
Take time to watch Snatch. It is hilarious. I mean, truly hilarious. But it's dark humor. And so if you go to collegehumor.com or College Humor on YouTube, and they've got some Mario editions where they're picking at Mario and Luigi. Hilarious. It's dark humor, but hilarious. Oh, it looks like Mark is about to join.
Yeah.
But before Mark joins, I got to run the news of the day.
Yes.
Twitch streamer banned twice in 2 days for harassing himself, somehow. It might be an understatement to say that popular Minecraft YouTuber and streamer George Not Found Davidson had a weird weekend. Within 2 days, he got banned from Twitch, possibly unbanned, definitely banned again, and unbanned again. Why? Harassment via username, according to Twitch. Problem is, the only person he could have possibly been harassing was himself.
Why won't they leave me alone?
Severed Steel is a first-person shooter with a one-armed protagonist. Announced this morning on the PlayStation blog, Greylock Studios' Severed Steel, formerly known as Impact, is a first-person shooter starring a character who can't reload because she only has one arm. Her name is Steel, and before the game starts she loses her arm in an accident caused by megacorporation Eden Sys. When the company abandons her following her injury, Steel launches a mission to rescue others trapped beneath Eden Sys' heel and get revenge for her dismemberment.
Reports, Nier Automata's new PC version is better than the busted original release. A new PC version of Nier Automata, part of the Become as Gods edition, has just been released on the Microsoft Store and Game Pass. And early reports are that, unlike the version available on Steam, this one actually works. The game's original PC release on Steam back in 2017 was a notoriously poor port, so much so that fans had to step in and work on mods that patched up things that should have been working at release, from frame rates to resolution issues.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
Animal Crossing horror short getting full-length feature. Don't Peek, a 6-minute horror movie about a monster trying to escape from Animal Crossing into the real world, premiered this week at South by Southwest Online and will soon be coming to a theater near you in full-length form.
That was the news that I found this week.
You found some great news about Twitch, and you even found some sharks. It's always good finding some sharks. You can't go wrong with the lovely sharks and all of that. So I see that you found the sharks, and sorry that I popped in almost a whole hour late, but I had this lovely thing called a board meeting. You know how those are. They really bore you. You got board meetings and all of that. So the Carolina Theater actually needs you Jacoby, because they need some good comedy. So I need you to do a 1-minute testimony about just life and some good old fashioned comedy.
You know, I'll do it if it gets me any steps closer to being big time like you, Mark. I'm gonna do it.
Nah, I'm nowhere near big time. See, you are the big time star and all that. Carrie is the real star of this whole picture and everything because she is the amazing lady and definitely is the one that is the true star of all things that we have going on here in this world. So I don't know why you're trying to deny being the star. And of course, we've got my new friend who I met on the internet, and I'm glad that he was able to jump in and meet y'all fine folks since he's a video dad. So glad to see that Jed is in the house.
Mark, what's my name? Huh? What is my name? Did you call me Carrie?
Did I say something wrong again? I'm always saying something wrong. And I'm over here just causing all kinds of trouble because I've been in the middle of board meetings.
I was trying to figure out who Carrie was.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jed, but I was like, what?
I thought I heard a different name. Like, did he just say? Nah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
let him
no,
roll.
it's me messing up, me totally messing up, causing all kinds of trouble in my life and everything else. But like I said, it's been one of those kind of days. I've been sitting over here grading kids, and they're trying to drive me crazy as well.
Right.
So,
Hold on,
what
Mark.
else is new?
Hold on, Mark. We all see that heart balloon in the background. You got some. You
Yeah,
got
right. That's that same heart balloon from
secret
last
admirer.
year. The same heart balloon that's been stuck there for almost 3 months, which is from the church folks, and it's still it is totally
your girl
deflated now.
has a Valentine.
Yeah.
No, there was no Valentine's. It was from the church. The church came by a month and a half ago and sent me that Valentine's Day heart balloon that is still hanging around and won't die. It's the only balloon
Church
I've
of
ever met
Love.
that will not die.
AKA beautiful church lady.
Yeah, no, these were like the older church ladies that were not the beautiful variety. I'm afraid not. These were the ones that knock on your door that have like the whole. I'll just say they're the JW variety. We'll just leave it at that.
JW variety.
Witnesses,
yeah, put that in our comments so we know what that is. Or
witnesses, the ones that knock on your door and want you to join their church.
Oh, okay. I was
okay.
Jen knew what I was talking about.
I mean, one thing with JW, I started thinking of KNW. You know, it's lunchtime. I'm thinking you're talking about a cafeteria.
No, the kind of knock on your door and they want you to totally sit there and like join their church, join everything with them, and they want to leave you with everything from the balloon that won't die to the 5 or 6 Bibles that they also drop off, and of course the little magazines.
Gotcha.
We could change this name to Gamer Snack Time. Since it's
Gamers what?
Now. Gamers Snack Time.
Yeah, come eat with us.
And you have to say it that way all the time.
Come eat with us and just have a full meal and everything else that is going on and all of that. So we could just do that and just have an enjoyable time in that respect. So, Jed, how are things going? Like I said, I've just met you through the internet and definitely was glad that you were able to pop in. I know you've had a whole hour conversation with these fine folks, but how is life treating you and where is life treating you?
Life's been treating me all right. So far, I've been having a great time with the show. I'm about a half hour north of Detroit.
Where?
So, Clinton Township.
Yeah. I know some geography.
Right. I'm about a mile west from Lake St. Clair.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I just go right down the street and there's Lake St. Clair, and I can see Canada right across the lake.
So you're right. You're right near Carrie.
Don't go there.
Carrie lives in the Midwest also.
But definitely, so I'm guessing you're a Detroit Tigers fans and a Detroit Lions fan and all those other lovely Detroit teams.
I'm not an original Michigander. I am a transplant. I have become a Tigers fan because baseball's become my favorite sport. I'm not a Lions fan. I like sports for entertainment purposes. the Lions are not entertaining. They are an exercise in self-harm.
But come
Like
on.
the Bengals here in Cincinnati.
Hey, the Bengals.
Yeah, quite like the Bengals.
The Bengals have a quarterback, and now the Lions have Jared Goff.
Yay!
Jed's like, yay, whatever.
I have to Google this man, Jared
So
Goff.
where did you transplant
Yeah.
from, Jed?
Oregon.
Oregon to Detroit.
Wow.
Yep.
That is love right there. Aww.
We even
Nike
met online on
fan.
AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh wow! So are you a Ducks fan then?
Yes, I am a Ducks fan.
Gotcha. Did you get any of the free Nike gear?
No, no. Nike
Wait,
knows better
there's
than
free
that.
Nike gear? How do you get free Nike gear?
Because that's where the owner of not the owner, the head guy at Nike, he went to Oregon.
Yeah,
And
in the Nike World Headquarters, I don't know if it is anymore, but it used to be in the Portland area,
yeah.
somewhere around there. It was in Oregon somewhere. I know that.
Yeah, so the whole floor and everything Oregon is Nike because that's that's his. It's the same thing with Maryland and Under Armour.
Everything in Maryland is Under Armour? I did not know this. I thought everything in Maryland was those lovely crabs and everything. Seafood.
And Old Bay seasoning.
Yeah. Obey.
Oh yeah. Everything in Cincinnati's Graders ice cream and Geta.
And what?
Geta.
What's
What?
Geta?
You don't know what? Ugh.
I've never heard of Geta.
Nah,
It's like
I haven't either.
a little bit of ground beef, a little bit of ground pork with some panhead oats and some spices. And then you cut it up and they're just like little patties of like goodness. And it's breakfast food. And oh yeah, Skyline chili. Yes, that. I always forget about that. I love Geta, but yeah, Skyline chili for sure, and Geta.
Okay. And where's the places to go eat in Oregon or Detroit? You said have relatives in Flint, I have none in Detroit. So if I was to go there, where is the place to go eat?
Oh man, there's a lot of good places. Downtown has a lot of good Greek food. Pegasus is a good place for Greek. Fishbones is a good place for seafood. There's a place just about 5-10 minutes away from me in a little town called Mount Clemens. It's called Gumbo's. Some of the best Cajun style food that you're gonna find. I mean, it's all authentic Cajun recipes. There's a great place downtown, and I can't remember the name of it now. I used to work right by it, but it's a chicken and waffles place, and they're like, you can get about 10 different kinds of chicken and about 15 different kinds of waffles. So you want pancal breaded chicken strips on a strawberry banana waffle? You can do that.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
You got one of those
really.
in North Carolina.
Their whole business is chicken and waffles, but they're like, pick your kind. Here's a whole bunch of options.
We got Dame's chicken and waffles in the area here, and that's what you get at Dame's chicken and waffles.
Yep, that's what you get.
All
you
you need
go
is
to
chicken
Raleigh
and
and try
waffles,
Beasley's, but it's not the same thing.
Also, shout out to Nivex. He has been commenting like an amazing, just multi-commenter person. And so I would like you to be my Instagram friend. Come find me. I just want to say hey and hi and thanks for supporting the show. But you can find me on Deep Into Roots Health Coaching. So you're cool, Nivex, whoever you are. Thanks for commenting.
He did call you out on the Skyline chili though.
Yeah, I forget because I don't eat, like the chili is on top of spaghetti, and since I have celiac disease and I don't think about things like cookies and spaghetti and the good stuff, I forget about Skyline. Sorry, Skyline.
Sounds like a good place to go with that. Skyline Chili is everything. So what about, you mentioned the places in Detroit. What about Oregon? Were there good places that you remember from Oregon and the good food places there, Jed?
There were. I mean, so much has changed. I haven't lived there in almost 20 years. So I'm sure a lot of stuff has changed. But there's a great seafood restaurant. I mean, seafood there is huge because it's a coastal state.
Right.
So it's seafood there is really big. So McMenamin's, no, that's not the seafood place. But McGrath's is the seafood place. And there's a burger joint there called Roke's, and it's one of those burger joints that is the business model is let's pretend it's the 50s.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's got the drive ups with the little menus that you order through the speaker box. All of the waitresses are in poodle skirts and the little tie up cardigans with the ponytail coming out of the top, and they go around on roller skates, and all the guys are dressed as greasers with white t-shirts and leather jackets and hair slicked back, and I mean, it pretty much just looks like the 1955 scene from Back to the Future in a restaurant. And the burgers there are just this, like, it's not healthy at all. The burgers and the fries there are the greasiest, most cholesterol-laden, cardiac disease-causing things on earth, but it's so delicious.
Well, I know one of the things that Jacoby loved talking about on the Gamers Day and everything is just the connection to games and everything along those lines. So I've actually got to ask you something about the name Jed. And I was just wondering, growing up, were you teased? Because whenever I think of Jed, I think of the Beverly Hillbillies and all of that. So I was wondering whether you got that all the time growing up, because that's the first name that comes to mind whenever I hear the name Jed.
Dude, I still get it. I honestly still, I'll be 44 in May. I still get, and I've
what
almost
day in May?
May 27th.
May 20th.
Oh, hey, cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. May, baby.
Yeah, right. But I will still get. I started a new job a couple years ago, and I think within a month I was in the bathroom washing my hands, and one of the other employees came in. He's like, "Oh, you're new here," and I introduced myself, and he goes, "Hey, you got a cement pond back at your house?" I'm like, "You son of a..." You think you're clever, don't you?
No, but I can have my fist in your face.
And in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, why don't you make the association to like a Jedi Knight? Like, it's more contemporary, but I've so gotten used to the Hillbillies, the Beverly Hillbillies connection. It's like, yeah, just like that. No, I don't have an oil barony. I'm not rich.
No, but so when you do, at your jobs, when you first start out, you can choose the name that you prefer to be called. So you could just like fudge an I there and be known as Jedi Shaper or Jedi Shaper.
That I should have done that. That was a good idea. Missed opportunity.
Just freak people out.
Right?
Why is it a missed opportunity? You could go into the office the next time we need to go to an office, and you can tell them, "Look, I've changed my name. I'm Jedi now."
Yeah, so I've been polite about this for 2 years. You've been screwing up my name this whole time. It's actually Jedi.
Has nothing to do with the movie. Just a remarkable coincidence.
It's just a feeling. It's a feeling I get about myself. So I'm Jedi.
And it would go perfectly, really, because I was born 2 days after the first movie came out. So,
hey, 2 days after, you could swear up and down that your parents were naming you after the movie. They knew there was going to be a great success, and your little baby, they said, "We're going to name him Jedi."
Right. They went and saw the movie. They went, "Nope, we're not picking David. Now we're going with Jed."
or that your mom used the force.
The mom was the fourth. Well, names can be fascinating because if one of my cousins had been, if my parents had my original name and the cousin kept their name when they were born, the family would have had all kinds of crazy dynamics. Speaking of church girls and church women and just church in general, because even though I'm Mark, one of the names that my parents were considering was Adam. And I do have a cousin named Eve. So you can just imagine the kind of family dynamics with that.
That would have been awesome.
Oh, that's cute.
Adam Lee.
Yes, they did consider that.
I don't know. Mark Lee. It's you.
Flows better.
It's the presence. Yeah, it's your presence of Mark Lee. Can't even say just Mark. It has to be Mark Lee.
Yeah.
Not all of us can be as great as Jacoby. I told you, Jacoby is the true superstar of the world. You go down the street, everybody knows Jacoby, and that's anywhere in the globe.
See, everybody here has easy names. Mine, nobody knew my name. Still barely get my name.
How easy is my name, Mark?
Yeah. We're not going to go there. But Jacoby, what were folks that they were going to call you? Did you have another name that folks were considering and everything?
I've had many names. I still get tons of names. Jacoby. My grandmother couldn't pronounce my name. She called me Toby Boy. I was playing intramural basketball down at UNCW. A guy couldn't pronounce my name on the team. Called me Geppetto. Yeah. I've had.
I love that.
He just gave up, man.
You puppet master.
Okay, yeah. Just call me what you can.
But I'm talking about, like, in terms of your parents' names, was it because a lot of your names in your family are all been those J names. I think just about all of y'all are J names. So was Jacoby always on the list, or was it going to be something else? Because I know you've got your sister, Denora, you've got yourself, you've got the other sister, the Dennis, whose name is slipping me right now, but I know it's a J name.
Jamel.
And then you got James. So definitely you got all of the four of y'all that are in the J category. But was it always going to be J names, or did they think of something else? And what was this fascination with the letter J?
That's all due to my father. I don't know what the other names might have been. The only thing they told me when I was young is that I wanted to be a fire truck and not the fireman, because the fire truck makes the noise, of course. That's what I want. But outside of that, no, I have no idea what the other names would have been. My father was hooked on J.A. because, of course, his name is James. But I don't know. I have no idea on that one. All I know is I got the most messed up one because nobody can really pronounce it. Like my father with James, so my older brother James, Jamel, James, and Melvin. My sister, my younger sister, was Janora. My mother's name is Nora, so you got James and Nora. Me, hey, let's get creative. Throw everybody's name in there. See if we can come up with a word. So I got James, I got Tony, I got Vincent, and Desi. Oh, I'm sorry. The J was evidently from Jerry and not James. The A was from James. So yes, it went Jerry, James, Tony, Vincent, Desi. Yeah,
wow, they did a hodgepodge with your name and everything. No doubt about that. James, you're a video parent and all, because I know that's part of the reason that I wanted you to pop in on this show and everything. Did you keep the same, did you stay in the J category with your kids since you got kids that love the video games, or did you kind of let folks explore and go elsewhere?
We did not stick with J's. I almost, probably to my father's dismay, because his name started with a J too. It was Jeffrey. But I had grown up wanting a son with one name. That name was Roland. And my wife had picked out a name for a boy that she wanted, which was Leith. Think like Keith, but with an L. and so there was a lot of back and forth about what name we were going to do when we had kids. And first pregnancy was twin boys, so we both got our way.
Oh, you love
Nice.
that. That's awesome.
My name. No, my name. My name. Okay,
Yeah.
both of our names.
Right? But cool, settled. And then we thought, we went for another baby, and the pregnancy, aside from being a singleton, the pregnancy was so much different. She had a lot of different symptoms, a lot of different, it was just remarkably different from the first one. We thought it's completely different. It's going to be a girl. We were absolutely convinced it was going to be a girl because it was so different. We had the girl's name on lock. We go to the ultrasound at the 5-month mark. It's a boy. Crap, we don't have a backup boy name.
It's like, Chris, I knew we were supposed to plan something. We didn't plan that part.
I'm partial to older people's names. So my animals are Rita and Henry. And then I had a roommate who was in college, and she just completed her boards, and her name is Bertha. So I just attract old people names.
Did Bertha have a friend named Pee Wee?
No, but I called her Badass Bertha. Like, whenever she did her badassery, like, go Badass Bertha, you passed your boards.
But Bertha also has, as I recall, a very interesting career that she was going into and everything. So, as I recall, our conversation, Bertha was going to become like a mortuary scientist, or basically a funeral home director, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, she's Steve Badass Bertha. Yeah, so she just completed her boards for mortuary science, and so she's figuring it out what she wants to do. So unintentional shout out to Bertha.
I'm betting you that there's not a video game in the world that deals with mortuary scientists. We've got all kinds of video games, but what do you think, Jacoby? Is there a video game that deals with the science of mortuary sciences and funeral homes? I'm thinking that that's probably something the video game industry has not tackled.
Have you ever played Operation?
Yeah.
I remember the game of Operation, and yes, you did oftentimes kill patients and the doctor. Yes, that's true.
So, I mean, you got Operation. It's one of the old classics.
Yeah, but there's supposed to be a lot, like, alive. Let's see. The mortuary assistant gameplay demo. The mortuary assistant gameplay.
There's a game for everything, Mark. Literally. There is not something... Yeah, there's a game for everything. Matter of fact, there was a company, I read a news story recently. Somebody is testing out where you can play a game from somebody's background screen on their like phone background screen. It's weird. I've got to look that one up. But yes, there's a game for anything you can think of.
Yeah, the mortuary assistant on Steam. So the premise is that you're a new mortuary assistant trying to log hours in apprenticeship. And then there's a mortician's tale, Laundry Bear games.
Why am I not surprised it's on Steam?
He's like, I'm not surprised it's on Steam. Everything's on Steam. What kind of game? What's a game that you would absolutely not play, Jed? Like, if there's a game that if they invented it, you're not going to do it. Like I said, and what are the games that you love doing? But what's a game that you're like, if they come up with it, you're like, I'm not doing it. They can't make me do it. They can't pay me $1 million to do it.
Let's take the obvious ones off the table, though. We can't do the obvious ones.
Ooh, that's hard.
Yes.
As odd as this is going to seem, a game that I'm sure this probably already exists, something that is like a daily life simulator. Like, you turn on the game and you do the laundry and you cook for your children and you help them with the homework and you vacuum and like, no, I do this in real life.
Yeah, it's not a vacation. You'd rather be a warrior princess than do the laundry on a video game.
Right?
They do have, what is it, vacation simulator, job simulator.
Job. I've completely forgot about Job Simulator.
And
And
I'm
it's
sure
one of
there's
the
a game
top
called
selling
Laundry
games.
Simulator, probably.
I'm sure there is. I mean,
Mhm.
they made Goat Simulator out of a joke, and now it's got like 5 expansion packs. So
Now, Goat Simulator is hilarious. That
It
is
is.
such a messed up game.
I'm just
I-
Googling a million today.
I bought that game, and I don't know why I bought it, and it's so dumb, and yet it's like, but I'm running around as a goat and headbutting things.
Wait a minute. Back up. Because I was thinking like goat farming, like that kind of things. But you're saying it's an actual game where you get to be the goat. So you're actually living as
That's
the
your
goat.
face.
So the elevator pitch of this is take Tony Hawk,
Goat Simulator is classic.
replace him with a goat. The end. I mean,
And
that's
he just
basically
flies
it.
off of
You were-
things.
Well, not only take Tony Hawk, take Tony Hawk plus a crash test dummy simulator.
Yes.
That's the point of Goat Simulator.
It's like you chain tricks together, but it is the tricks are attacking people and blowing things up with your head and knocking down walls, and
It's such a silly game.
I mean, I know different people have different belief systems and everything, and some people may not believe in reincarnation, coming back and everything, in some form or fashion. But I had a pet goat and everything. I don't know that I would want to come back as a goat in any form or fashion. Like I said, if you can't come back as a human, I can see coming back as, say, a cat. Cats are cool. Cats have like a certain cool ambiance about them. So I can see coming back as a cat. I can even see coming back as a fox or an otter. But do you want to come back as a goat?
Not especially, no, but I'll play as a goat. I mean,
well, it has a review of 9 out of 10 on Steam.
Yeah, it's a hilarious game. It is so messed up.
And part of the two of it is that intentionally the physics in the game are broken.
Yes.
Like when I say take Tony Hawk, not a good Tony Hawk game. Take one of the later Tony Hawk games, the ones where like you fly up about 500 feet when you screw up an ollie, and then you land, and when you land, you like crash through the swimming pool. That's Goat Simulator, but they did it on purpose. So it's just it's patently ridiculous, but that's the whole gag of it.
I mean, this goat almost looks. I'm expecting the voice of I'm expecting the voice of Eddie Murphy to be the voice of the goat. So, and now the goat just kicked somebody. But yes. So Jacoby, how often have you played this game, Goat Simulator? Because you actually pulled it up mighty quickly.
Well, it is of course YouTube, but you see, I mean, you got a rocket pack carrying people away. It's just one of the dumbest games.
A guy on fire running in reverse.
It is just it's the trailer of it. Yeah, the whole point of the game is you're a goat to crash into everything under the sun. That's it. There's nothing else you do in the game. You just run and jump into stuff.
So, Jed, is there a game that you would not let? And I'm not even thinking about the balance aspect. We talked about that several times here on the show and everything. It's usually blown way out of proportion and everything. But is there a game that you would not let your kids play just based on stupidity? And other than this goat game, but is there a game that if they came to you and they're like, "We want to play this game," you're like, "Nope, we're not playing that one."
Yeah, asked me 5 years ago, and I probably would have said yes. At this point, though, no. I you know what? I've for now. My oldest boys are almost 15. My youngest will be 9 in a couple months, in a couple months. I've learned that you gotta let them touch the stove and find out if the burner's hot, because that's the only way they're going to learn not to touch the damn stove. So if they want to buy, before you got on, we were talking a little bit about shovelware, and I mentioned Ninja Breadman. They want to play Ninja Breadman? Have fun playing that. Have fun spending the $10 on that awful game.
Ninja Breadman? What the heck is this game? This sounds almost as bad as the goat game.
No,
Ninja Breadman is legendarily bad. It was it started off as this small studio had created a 3D game. They were going to make a sequel to the game Zool, which was this really short-lived mascot platformer. I think it was on the Amiga, and they were going to make a 3D version of it. And the Zool rights holders didn't like it, so they retooled it and they made the central character a gingerbread man that's also a ninja. But they didn't finish the game. They released it in somewhere between an alpha and a beta state. So it is fundamentally broken. Like the physics in it are weird. You clip through things, you fall through things. You could jump over barriers and get stuck in the game. It's only got 3 levels. It's notoriously bad.
It sounds notoriously bad. I'm like having whole visualizations, and it's very scary and everything. But Jed, and it's come up on this show a couple of times, but when your kids mention Steam and wanting to get like those lovely Steam cards, and everybody sees them at the department stores and all of that, are you like the dad that gives off and just lets them go and buy $20, $30, $40, $50, $60 worth of these Steam cards? Because I do see that it becomes like a whole major display at just about anybody's favorite drugstore, whatever that might be. And we don't have to name names, but I do see it sometimes folks that are just spending a whole lot of money on the Steam packages so they can play these various Steam games. Or you are more controlling that. Just like, you got $5, that's all you get.
I typically tend to be a little bit more controlling. Only because I want them to actually understand the value. And also my kids are the type that will burn through the money, and then, a week later after they've spent $20 on V-Bucks in Fortnite or shark cards in GTA or Steam or whatever, they'll be like, well, can I go ice skating? Can I get a Slurpee? Can I get this? Can I get that? No, you had $20 last week and you spent it all. Should have saved it. So no, I'm more of the type who will say, no, save your money, spend wisely, think about what you're buying, get value for your money. Grandma, on the other hand, makes it rain.
But that's what grandparents do, though.
They do. Grandma doesn't. The minute my mother-in-law became a grandma, she forgot the meaning of the word no. So now when they're like, Grandma, can we get $20 to buy V-Bucks?
What's funny is that the story you were telling us earlier about how she was all like mortified that your wife's alter ego in wrestling is this dominatrix chick, and then you give us the phrase "make it rain." That's pretty amazing.
It is interesting, isn't it? It's odd that she would underwrite their addiction, but her daughter playing a video game is apparently a bridge too far.
So her daughter playing a video game, so she can get with her grandkids playing video games, but her daughter playing a video game, and that's gone too far. I'm a little confused here.
Dude, so am I, man. Somehow, apparently, I corrupted her daughter and showed her weird things that had never happened before by introducing her to video games. But her grandsons can play GTA and Fortnite all day long. And, hey, it's cool. Here, do you want another $10?
But this is going to throw this to Toby, but aren't video games just a new version of what used to exist before video games? And I know we've talked on this show before about board games, but I would argue that video games is the new version of wrestling and the new version of baseball. And I know that my granddad, God rest his soul, was big into both of those sports. He loved wrestling, even though my dad tried to tell him for many years that wrestling was not real, but he didn't want to hear that. Wrestling was a real sport with real things, and like those athletes were really doing some serious athletic endeavors and all of that. And of course, baseball is a whole nother game. But definitely, isn't that just a new version of those old classics?
In a roundabout way, but you have to think of video games are in that entertainment field, and they are taking over every spot of that entertainment field, from sports to everything. But yeah, I mean, if you look at chess was big with Bobby Fischer and all that. People tuned in to watch chess. Well, you got millions of people tuning in to watch in Overwatch League, millions watching League of Legends. So in a roundabout way, yeah. I mean, but there are just so many things that you can do with a video game, or so many imaginary things you can do with a video game that you can't do, like Goat Simulator, or even this one, Mark. It's not just about goats. This one, and Jed, I don't know if you played this. This is actually another one of those fun ones that's just stupid fun. It's a goose.
Yes, I have this.
Get to be a goose.
Yeah, and you just go around and annoy people. That's the whole point.
Oh, I love it. You can put your head down.
Yep.
And chase.
Yep.
If I come back as an animal and in another life, I want to be a goose.
Yep. You just run people off.
Goose would be
steal
cool.
stuff, cause problems. You're a goose.
Yeah. Have you ever had interaction with a real goose? This is very much like a real goose, just a duck with a jerk attitude.
Yep.
Oh, we've got a couple of those. I think they're still around. Are those goose still over there in the research triangle park, Jacoby? The ones that used to drive people crazy?
The Canadian geese, yep. They're still there. They're still there, pooping up on everything, too.
This is too realistic, though. I mean, at least with the Goat Simulator, like, geese can still do that crap. At least with Goat Simulators, you have people on fire. You have goats just, like, ramping on everything.
See, but that's the whole point of this, is you are the goose. You're the one who's supposed to toss his mail in the garbage or in the river or break in here. And, well, you just stole this kid's glasses. Yeah, you're the goose.
But that's like a normal day ever.
Normal day in the life of a goose. Okay, we got it. So I think the next thing that we're going to have, and Jacoby's probably going to tell me it already exists, Mark, is we're going to have this simulation kind of thing going on where, the whole thing with wrestling was the whole costume thing. So are we going to get to the point where the video game people come dressed in costume when they do their competitions, like when they have Overwatch competitions or they do Fortnite or whatever, so they come dressed as, say, whatever the characters were in wrestling?
Are you talking about cosplay stuff?
Yeah, like, but are they going to come dressed as cosplay in the middle of, like, the competition?
Yeah, some people do that.
And they actually got, like, nicknames? So there's, like, just Jacoby does his Incredible Hulk variation when he's doing Fortnite?
Well, since I don't play Fortnite, I can't really dress as a car to play Rocket League. I mean, I could.
Right. You could.
Be tough.
I don't know. Sega put a car in a fighting game once, so if they can do that.
Yeah.
They did what, Jed?
That is true.
There was a fighting game on Sega Saturn called Fighters Mega Mix, and one of the hidden characters was a Daytona race car.
Yep.
That would be cute, though. If I go on Facebook and there's this little title that says just playing, or just playing a game, and then you're dressed up as a car.
I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to do that. And actually, what's funny is I was looking at my drawer because I do have Fighters Mega Mix. That was a great game.
I love that game.
Yeah. Like, what does Jacoby do late at night? Dress up as a car.
Dress up as a car.
House of the Dead.
Jacoby, and this is also for Jed. How many games do you have in that house of yours?
Tons.
Like, if you were to sit there and do like a catalog, and are we having like a Jacoby library, like thousands, or are we thinking like tens of thousands?
What I need to do is put up what I can, but yeah, I got tons from the Xbox games to. Here you go, Jed. You remember this game when that came out?
Ooh, yeah, I remember that.
Ooh. I remember
that was an experience.
Then,
see, for me, I don't have a whole lot of physical games. I got a lot more digital games, especially if we count. I got one of those Raspberry Pi devices that has emulators on it, and if we count those, Gex, wow!
Now, explain this to those that are watching that are sitting there going like me. What's a Raspberry whatever that has got emulators on it? So what exactly is this again?
All right, so Raspberry Pi is like it's like an extremely simplified computer. The whole board itself is probably no bigger than a pack of cigarettes. It's like that big. And you can put it inside a shell, and usually it's used for a lot of simple computing things. Like some people use it; they plug it into their modem as an ad blocker. You can run some very simple things on it, but one of the things you can run is emulators, which are programs that will emulate old video game systems.
Mm-hmm.
And you can then download computer files. And by the way, unless you own the original games, technically this would be piracy. I do not recognize that game.
Starblade? Yeah, it was one of the...
I don't recognize that.
It's kind
one.
of a Zaxxon ripoff.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Toby, he just brought up an interesting point that we haven't covered on the show that I recall. How big a problem is piracy in the video game world?
It's always been a big problem, from piracy to hackers, and it's tough to stop. I mean, you've got different companies that are putting out different things to try and stop hackers, try and stop pirates, but if there is a program, a programmer can rewrite that program. A great programmer can really rewrite that program, and you have no control over it. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, it's when the Sega. So Sega is awesome. I was big time into Sega. I actually like the Sega Master System and the Sega Genesis and everything better than I like the Super Nintendo and the NES. Sega was built on speed more so than Nintendo was built on graphics. Because Nintendo could push out the best graphics out there when they had the NES and the SNES, much better than what Sega and the Sega Genesis did. But Sega just was better for sports and better for speed. Similar to today, in a sense, where like the best fighting games are always going to end up on the PlayStation, just because that's the fighting console. Right. Sports games social games are going to end up more so on the Xbox than it is on, because that platform is built. That network is much more stable. Even though, I mean, it's pretty much even now. It's less of a difference now than it ever was in the past, because Sega sports games, Madden was the bomb on the Sega Genesis. It looked cool on the Super Nintendo, but it just didn't run as good. It wasn't as fast, and it was just not as good. But either way, getting back to it. So the Sega Genesis, there were versions of the Sega Genesis that were the US version, and then there was the Japanese version. And hackers have hacked the Genesis to the Sega Saturn and figured out ways to mod those machines so you could play the Japanese games and not just the American games. Then you had it where they're copying CDs and copying discs. Just how Jed was talking about the emulators and stuff. You can get JNES on the Android or an Android phone right now and download every NES title that ever was and put it on your phone. Technically, that's everything you're talking about right there, where you're none of the games are yours. You're just downloading all the games right there. So yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a problem. I mean, you can fight as much as you can, but it's just no store in the world has no theft that has ever happened in it, in a sense. Like going to the mall, there's shoplifting. You just try and think of ways to battle those things.
Mm-hmm.
And to add on to what Jatovi was saying, part of so there are, especially modern piracy, that's a different story. But for older systems, emulating the Nintendo, emulating the Sega Genesis, the Atari 2600, things like that, video games, unlike other media, there isn't as much of an effort by the industry itself to preserve the history. You go on to film, you look at film, for instance, and you have the American Film Institute, you have movies that are inducted in the Library of Congress, you know, you have a gajillion different streaming services that you could find movies on. Movies are archived. The history of movies can be completely explored. Books, same thing. Libraries and bookstores, TV shows, same thing. Video games don't have that. There is not one place where you can go and you can find every Nintendo game and every Super Nintendo game and every Sega Genesis game, because not only are these things not published anymore, even if they are, it's only a select few. Like Nintendo will release certain games on the Switch. You could rebuy Super Mario Brothers, the original one, for $5 on the Switch, but you can't go back and rebuy Tecmo Bowl, because Tecmo Bowl has an NFL license, and that license is now expired. It's 40 years old. Or you can't go and buy Lunar the Silver Star Story because the developer no longer exists and no one holds the rights anymore. So sometimes, even though piracy exists for these the games, it also serves as a way to preserve history. So that way these old games can still survive, because a lot of the developers and a lot of the big companies, especially as companies like EA and Ubisoft and swallow up every little developer known to man, they're not bothered by preserving history, but gamers want to. So
do you think we'll ever have that? And this is actually for you and Jatobi, but you're right, because I know when I think of history, I think of like the different organizations like the Academy for the Grammys and things of that nature, and definitely a lot of these organizations that preserve theater or film or music, and definitely there are museums that do that. But I don't know of any of those that exist in the gaming world. So do you think that there will be at some point an organization that's like a national or international gaming association, video gaming association, or even a video gaming museum? I mean, we got museums for everything else. I don't see why we wouldn't have a video game association.
it would be nice. I don't know how it would be able to do that and get all the companies working together. I think more than anything, that would be the big hurdle, would be to get Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and Ubisoft and EA and all of them to buy in.
Yeah, that'd be really tough. Not only because then you're also looking at the different. Each one of these companies is more global than a lot of other companies. Because you've got Ubisoft everywhere, you got EA buying up everything, and then you got so many developers, and then that'd be real tough to do.
And going back historically too, I think would be tricky, because there are rights issues are one thing for some older games, but then you get into, if we're going for a comprehensive look of history of video games, what about failed consoles? Is Atari really interested in preserving the Jaguar CD? Who even holds the rights to the 3DO? Things like that. Getting all of that under one umbrella, it's a wonderful idea. I have no idea how that could be accomplished. And
plus, it's still a brand new industry. Thinking about it too, I mean, looking at from the movie industry, it's much easier to put up under all up under one umbrella because it's been around forever. The gaming industry just took off. It's only been alive for 40 years?
Right. Blip in the scheme of things.
Yeah. So Mark disappeared on us.
He did. He did, and he's the one who asked the question. And
he just dipped and ran. I guess. I'm wondering if he
dropped a grenade, then he ran.
Yeah.
He's taking a playbook, like a page out of your playbook, Jatobi.
Yeah, I know. My Facebook page. Boom. Hey.
Go, peanut butter, jelly. You can only choose one. Go.
Yep.
No, so Jed, you have such a wonderfully thoughtful perspective, like well-rounded perspective on so many things, especially just like the multiple layers of video games. So I'm nodding like one of those like baubles on the car, or whatever. You're like bobble, 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 because it's just so interesting to just listen and take in all these multiple facets of video games.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I feel like I got to bring something of value. If I'm going to be on here, I better be good. Video games is something that like I said, I've been video gaming for almost 40 years. So it's something I know real well, and hopefully I've come across as at least semi-intelligent.
No, it's just, I didn't mean it as in like surprising, but rather just the fact that this has just been such an awesomely like well-rounded game heavy episode with all these different facets and layers. And it is another example of breaking down those barriers of like the stereotype of gamers. And I just love it. So
well, thank you. I appreciate I do take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
And you dropped a nugget of joy that I was so excited to hear when you said Lunar Silver Star.
Oh, one of my favorite RPGs of all time.
Well, that's one of my favorites. But did you ever play Panzer Dragoon Saga?
No. I wish I could. No. Here's my shameful. If I have one thing to be ashamed of as a video game fan, I was a Sega loyalist. I loved the Genesis. Okay. I loved the Sega CD. I had a Saturn. I had a Dreamcast. But I am ashamed to admit I bailed on Saturn. After a couple of years, I recognized that the ship was going to hit the iceberg. It just wasn't happening, and I jumped to PlayStation before Panzer Dragoon Saga came out, and then it came out, and I heard such good things about it. I'm like, I should go get that. I should go play that. And yeah, now all I have to do is drop $1,000 to play it. No thanks.
Oh, that game. In all honesty, that was one of, if not the best RPG I've ever played, because the storyline was written so well. The everything, I mean, just everything about that game was just, you have to think of like Star Wars, how in Star Wars they created a whole universe. Panzer Dragoon Saga did that. They created their own language. Everything about that game was just, I mean, you really felt that game when you played it. That was that one and Shenmue. Shenmue was another one that really I loved a lot of, because that Shenmue was the only one that really made me want to be at a particular place at a particular time, because I did not want to miss what would happen. Because if you miss that time, you missed what happened.
Right. That credit to that. Who was that? Yu Suzuki who designed that?
Yep. Yeah.
That was just the level of detail in that game is absolutely astonishing.
I mean,
so much so that I was almost kind of put off of the game, not in a bad way, but more in a paradox of choice kind of way. Like, and there's just too much to do here.
What was funny is, how you were talking about a life simulator? That was a life simulator, because if you did not go to the gambling area where the battle beetle or the rhino beetles were fighting, you missed the clue that you needed. And then you had to go somewhere else to some other job and work that job cleaning tape. I mean, it was intense. It was intense.
But there was no dishwashing scene.
No dishwashing scene. No dishwashing scene.
No, but you could operate a forklift.
Yeah, you
Oh,
could.
okay.
Yeah, you could.
You're like a dock worker or something.
Yeah.
And you had to like move shipping containers from one place to another, and
Yep.
it was all like it wasn't quite real time, but there was a timer. Like there was a constant there was a day-night cycle that was constantly going, and like Jatovi said, it wasn't a recurring thing where you screw up and you start the scenario over. If something happened at 7 o'clock and you missed 7 o'clock at the place and time, too bad.
Yep.
You move on.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it was such a fun game that way. It was so fun.
Huh. That's like definitely a tactic to get people addicted to that game. Like, okay, you have to stay on this game and go through all the, or else you've missed it and then you've screwed up.
Honestly, that's one of the biggest challenges that game designers and developers always have to deal with is the replayability. I mean, you can make a trash game, but if it's replayable and gets people hooked, then you've got a viral game on your hands that will stay around forever and ever and ever. But
So are we hooked on our guest from last week's new game yet? Because I did download it onto my phone, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. So I'm already kind of wondering about some of their design capabilities. Because, of course, the fact that I've got an old-fashioned phone probably isn't helping as well. But
it's still it crashes on mine. On my phone as well. I mean, I've got the Pixel 5, so I got all updated stuff, and it definitely has some issues, but it is still in beta. So Jed, last week we had a guest on from Zelgor Games, and he had us download Noobs in Space, and the other game that they are building is called I think it's
got Noobs in the title too, and I've actually got it on my phone. I'll tell you the title. It is Noob Tubes.
Yeah. And so they're trying to create this whole IP around noobs. They're animated characters. They look a little bit like the Snorks, mixed with a few other, cartoon characters. It's a neat IP to build on, and those two are their initial games that they're starting with, and they're hoping to build off of it. Think of it like there are a couple of games that are similar to their Noobs in Space, but it's simplistic like Flappy Bird. Mm-hmm. And you're just basically going around a planet trying to dodge. You're going around a circle, and there are things coming at, and you just tap and you go the opposite direction to avoid asteroids or the ice spears and stuff as you scan the planet, depending on how many times you have to go around, and it grades you on your speed. And I think it's just mainly your speed, but
I think that's it.
It's okay. I'm hoping for more variety in it.
Yeah.
It's the gameplay sounds a little bit like minus the shooting aspect of it. It's giving me the impression of kind of like Tempest.
Yes. Yeah. Except for you don't control it as much. Tempest was great. Oh my goodness. But you don't control it as much as Tempest. And that's a good analogy.
But Tempest, but as an automatic runner, kind of.
Yeah. Tempest mixed with Flappy Bird because it's just a simple tap.
And they are offering investment opportunities. I don't know about you, Jatobi, but I did win and spend a whopping $4 or $5 on some sort of stock that I decided to at least give them a little bit of support. So I went and chimed in a whopping $4.
See, you got money, so you had it.
Like I said, you notice I said a whopping $4, and there will be no more coming anytime soon.
Money bags.
Yep. See, I have to save my money to keep Bull City Gaming going. Hope people donate and support. Same thing with the Gamers Den. Jez can write the articles for Gamers Den. Hopefully.
Yes.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
Spread the word. Let folks know about the Gamers Den. We would love
And
that
then-
for sure and everything. Now, I've got to bring up the sports world as I oftentimes do because it is NCAA time. And I think there are two teams from Michigan that have actually got a good shot of making a long run. So are you a basketball fan? And do you think your Michigan or Michigan State teams will do well? Because they are definitely among those 64 or 68 teams that are in there.
Basketball is probably third on my list. I do like it. I just don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I know enough about the local teams to know I'm expecting the University of Michigan to make a deep run. They, aside from the last couple of games where for some reason they just completely lost their heads. But for most of the season, Juwan Howard has coached a team of killers. And if they don't make the Elite Eight, something's wrong. University or Michigan State? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask. You said basketball was third on your list. I'm trying to figure out what was number 2.
Football.
Because baseball was 1. Football. Okay.
Baseball, football, basketball.
I got you, May, baby. I understood.
See, it's that May connection.
Exactly. Only a week away. We're connected.
Yes.
But Michigan State, which is my wife's alma mater, so I'm inclined to cheer for them. Unfortunately, they have limped into this tournament, and they're in a playoff, one of the play-in games.
Yeah.
Make it past the initial round, I'll be shocked. I know that there's the whole Izzo has March magic, and he knows how to coach them up in March. That good, you could do that all year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and I hope that Juwan Howard can maintain his cool because I know a couple of those tournament games he was starting to lose his cool with the refs and everything. So if he does that, then I think that that team will do quite well in the tournament. But definitely, he's got to maintain his cool. And I'm thinking that who knows, Georgetown might shock some people and even win a game or two because they seem to be on a roll. And speaking of folks that used to play on a different level, whether it was college or professionals, I think Patrick Ewing's got them going in a good direction. So. Oh, what do you think, Jacoby? You think that maybe Patrick can go a couple of rounds?
Well, I just want Patrick to get recognized in Madison Square Garden. I mean, come on now. The man is in the rafters, and they couldn't recognize Patrick Ewing. Kara, did you hear about that story?
Yeah. I know who he is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Who's this tall gentleman?
Well, to be fair, they didn't recognize him because he wasn't missing a layup jumper.
Yeah.
A cheap shot at Patrick. I like Patrick, but that was just an easy shot to take.
Yeah.
It was an easy shot, but yeah, they didn't recognize him. But I understand that even some of his own recruits did recognize him, and he is only like the major legend at Georgetown. So I understand that even some of his young recruits are sitting there going like, "And you're who?" And of course, they've got big banners and jerseys and everything else there at his alma mater, but they didn't know who he was either.
It's so weird.
But everybody recognizes Mark Lee.
No, everybody recognizes Kara.
Everybody recognizes Mark Lee.
Did you say my name correctly?
I did. Everybody recognizes.
You really know how to treat a girl.
That's why he's got that heart-shaped balloon back there.
The balloon that has not died. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm thinking about releasing it into the wild yonders, but they say that's pollution, so I need to put it in the trash can and everything. But I know when I've released them before, I'm afraid that it'll just kind of like go up in the air, fall back on the ground. But if this balloon has got to be the world's craziest balloon, I'm actually thinking that it's possessed. Because it has not deflated after what we talked about that balloon 3-4 weeks ago. That's when the church ladies came by. So that balloon has not deflated in 4 weeks.
I thought it was a different
version of it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. A different version.
Is it one of those Mylar balloons?
Say what?
Those things do not lose their helium at all. You have to attack that thing with a hatchet to get it to deflate.
Yeah.
You sound like you have personal experience.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not
my
a nice
children's
like,
birthday
good
last
action.
year. My children's birthday last year, because it was just after the start of sheltering in place. We had to throw a birthday party at home, and so my wife decided to get just a metric ton of balloons and filled the entire hallway. Like you literally had to ford the balloons out of your way to get down the hallway. And the standard rubber balloons, they deflated after a couple days, but it was a month later and the Mylar balloons were still floating there, just hanging out in the hallway. I'm like, can I take a scissors to these things yet? They're in my way of getting to the bathroom. My wife's
Just
like,
out of curiosity,
cute. Like, no, they're not cute. They're now a nuisance.
they're not
How
cute
old are
anymore.
they?
My twins will be 15 in a couple weeks, and the youngest will be 9 in May.
Yeah.
And Jed, are they in school now, or are they doing like Jacoby's kids are and doing it online? Or are they actually in the physical school environment yet? They're in Michigan.
They are in the physical school environment. They went. Our school district went half and half at the start of the school year, and I don't know if they're still offering half and half anymore. I think they may have moved to all in person shortly after the new year.
Okay.
But they did not fare well with the remote learning at the end of the previous grade, and just sheltering in place really did a number on their mental health. So we were like, you know what? We'll give it a shot. As long as the school's compliant, we'll give it a shot and we'll see how it goes, because we need our children to not be crazy.
So how bad do you think they did academically? I'm sorry, Kara. How bad do you think they did academically?
At the end of last year?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to really describe that, because once everything went to shelter in place, the school district decided to completely ditch the concept of grades, and they just went pass fail. So as long as you turned in assignments, you passed. It didn't matter if you got, if there were 10 questions and you got 5 right, you win. So they passed, but how well did they pass? They passed.
It'd be curious to see how this affects, children later on, like as they progress in their grades, especially in, the younger ones, like your 9-year-olds. Like, it'll be interesting. And I'm sure, like, as a parent, you can think about it and make you terrified, but I'm just curious to see like how it will impact, because it has been such an impactful time for everyone, like you said, emotionally and academically. So, I mean, what are some ways that you've been able to help them with that as you're trying to figure it out with your own adult emotions and sanity?
It's been challenging. I think a big part of the challenge has been because we can articulate what we feel. We're all adults. We have a better grasp on the range of emotions that we have. But when you're 14, 15, your brain is still developing. You're starting to come into some of that complex thought, but you don't understand the complex thought. And your hormones are just raging out of control. So your body chemistry's gone off the rails. So all we could do really is just be there for them, constantly reassure them, hey, we're here for you. We're all stuck in the house. We're all in this together. What can we do to help? We've tried to, do family movie nights, family game nights. A couple months ago, my wife did put up this huge spread of like snacks and to bring it back to snacks, snacks and candy and stuff in the basement. And we plugged in the Wii, and it was just, we all take turns playing the Wii. Let's play Wii Baseball. Let's play Wii Sports. Let's, and you want a handful of M&Ms? They're right over there. Go for it. You want beef jerky? It's right over there. And then we got to spend time together, game together, goof off. It's been, I guess the best way to summarize it would be reinforcing the family dynamic, making sure that they know that we are there with them through this whole thing.
I love it. And I love the fact that you did that whole snack thing and the Wii thing, because that's helping your kids associate, like, snacks, these, not nutritious, but very delicious snacks. They're for happy times. They're for good times. And a lot of times when we're, just struggle busing, like for me, I go straight for like the salty stuff, like popcorn or like tater tots, right? Like, I feel so depressed. I'm going to eat like a mountain of tater tots. And so, it's good that you're able to kind of have that and be like, yeah, let's try to make the best of this and feel a little bit normalcy, get some, movement and some snacks, and so that they can again just associate that with good times and hopefully like just reinforce that notion. So go you.
Yeah,
I love
go
your
you, Jen.
I love your insight. So glad to meet you today.
I got to
Jay was
give credit to the
amazing.
wife though. The whole snack and game thing was her idea. Like all of a sudden she came home from Sam's Club and she had 8 pounds of candy and 3 pounds of beef jerky and popcorn. I'm like, what's all that for? Oh, we're doing game night in the basement. Okay, fine, sure.
Sure, why not? Game night in the basement sounds great and everything. And then, of course, you can always get bad foods that are given to you because folks that are friends of yours get gifts and everything, and then they decide that since they don't want the gifts, they're going to give them to you. So, yes, I'm calling out our friend Zach because he was out doing his Uber thing, and somebody gave him some St. Michael's chocolate French crepe, and he was like, I don't want it. Mark's Mikey, he'll have it. So now I've got some chocolate French crepe that I'm about to have as well right now because he's had that and gave it to me like some few days ago and everything. Because he's like, they gave it to me while I was Ubering. I don't want it. It's yours.
So he's force feeding you chocolate crepes.
Yes, it was like
Force feeding chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obligatory chocolate crepes.
Obligatory chocolate crepes. That's right. It was mandatory that I have these chocolate crepes of some form or fashion. One thing that I'm curious about, and I want to know what Jacoby thought about this, is it kind of comes back to what you were talking about, Jed, which is the super graduations. Because like I said, now we're not just going to have people that didn't have their graduations, but we're going to have like 2. And, if it keeps going on, maybe it'll be 3 years. But I know at Duke, they're talking about having the 2020 and the 2021 classes all together. And they were already big to-dos with one class. So now we're going to have 2 classes melded together. So that sounds like that's going to be a logistical nightmare. But what are your thoughts?
It's definitely going to be a legit. Well, I mean, if they planned it, I guess they have it worked out. But yeah, it's going to be a logistical nightmare to get all those students together. I mean, I remember my high school, we had 600 kids for the graduation. And I can't imagine, the nightmare of 600-700 plus going across the stage, and because for like each department,
Right.
so it's just gonna be nuts. And then that's the easy part. Now what do you do about parking?
Oh. Yep.
So
Oh yeah, like the early stages of COVID and someone parks right next to you and then you jump out of your car with your mask and you're like, why? So many other spaces. Climbing out the other side. Why? Am I the only one?
Yeah, so totally, no, I totally get it. And then you got folks that are sitting over here fighting the
Someone's
mask,
been
and
there.
they're going like, I don't need to wear a mask anymore. Like, people over there in Texas and other places because they got happy, but then they'll be the first ones that'll complain because they'll have a new outbreak, and they'll be like, but wait a minute, you told me I didn't have to wear a mask.
Yep.
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just noticed we went past the 2 hour mark again.
Again.
We hit that
Again.
2 hour mark.
That is when you're having fun.
So, Jed, I'm going to ask you the same thing that I asked the last guest that was on and everything last week, which is I hope that you enjoyed yourself. I was glad that I was able to find you through the wonders of social media. And as we always like to say for guests, we'd love it if you want to come back. So, anytime that you're available on a Thursday, and I know you got work schedules and all of that, I'm sure that Jacoby and Kara would agree with me that you can bounce back anytime that you feel like it because you are an amazing guest, and we would love for you to come back anytime that you're available. I know that whole thing called work that gets in our way oftentimes might be an issue, but anytime that you can bounce off, I think that you're welcome. So what do you think, Jacoby?
Oh yeah, Jed. I already told Jed. Yeah, he can help me write some articles and stuff because we got the Gamers Den website, which is coming online soon.
Yes.
And which I don't know if Karen knew about it yet, but I wanted to make sure that gets out there because the whole Gamers Den website. The plan for it, Jed, is to run it like the way G4 did. So want to do some review stuff. Want to make sure that skits are out there, other videos. Of course, this will be live, streamed on that website. So yeah,
All right.
There's a lot of plans there, and you are more than welcome being part of the family. There's got to be a health section because Kara has to have, or Carrie has to have her health section.
Yes, I didn't know this because I'm just here. I only know things if you tell me, Jacoby. That's how it works in communication. No, that's amazing. Yeah,
so,
you would be so good with that column section, Jed. And we need to have a health section or else there will be fighting words and throwing fists.
But that's a big thing is the health thing, because taking it all the way back to where we started with the snacks and everything else, and the healthy mind, and getting parents to understand that this is a positive for kids and not a negative, and that this is a great stress relief. This from meeting friends to learning new things. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know this game, Jed. This is Cell to Singularity. You can learn about the science, learn about this is back into dinosaurs, learning how things connect, what dinosaurs connect to the other, and just go from there. There's just so much in gaming that is a positive. Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of nurturing that and learning how to nurture that and supporting the kids for playing those games, even games like Fortnite, even games like Grand Theft Auto. There's more to Grand Theft Auto than, you have the freedom to rob somebody. Well, what is the point of it? There's more to the story to that. There's a bigger understanding. There's a reason behind everything in the game. There's a story. How did they write the story in there? How did they program that character to do that? What layers of graphics did they have to, what skins did they have to put on? How many, we talked about polygon counts. I think it was last week or the week before.
I think it was last week.
What are the polygon counts within that character that they built? How did they rebuild or remap a city to look just like San Francisco? I mean, just tons of stuff. So yeah, I mean,
just really quickly along those same lines. So Jed, if your 3 kids come to you and they tell you, let's say the 15-year-old in 2 or 3 years when they're graduating high school, that they've decided that they want to figure out what their career is going to be. They don't want to be a doctor. They don't want to be a lawyer. They don't want to be a journalist. They want to be in the video game industry. Are you going to jump up and down with enthusiasm, or are you going to be like, no, you don't want to do that? So what is your role going to be as a parent if they come to you and they're ready to be in that field? I may be planting ideas in your kids' heads.
One of them has expressed the idea of wanting to be in video game design anyway.
Nice.
So honestly, I believe that it's a parent's job to encourage the dream. even if the dream is unrealistic. My younger twin has wanted to be a pro baseball player, and I was honest with him. I said, if you want to chase baseball, I am 100% backing you up. If you manage to make it to the show and you get drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks, you bet your butt I'm buying a lot of airline tickets and a lot of stadium tickets, and I will be coming to a lot of your home games. But I also have to tell you the realism of the chances of you getting to the show. But still, like I said, still chase that dream. So when they turn 18 and they say, "Dad, I want to start going to video game design," more power to you. If it makes you happy, I'd rather see you chase something and be happy than settle for a career that just pays the bills.
Well, and it allows them to think, okay, so I want to do this. What are the steps that I could take now, later, and then eventually, to get to that, and it takes practice. It takes a lot of exposure. It takes hard work. It takes dedication. And all of those are really great qualities in the job world in general. So that is just so important to embrace as well. Like, hey, just work hard for it. And you never know what's going to come with it. But at least you are developing these skills that are going to make you succeed in life.
Exactly. And will they succeed? It's possible. Maybe they just end up being, maybe they flame out of it. Maybe they end up being a mid-level employee. Maybe one of my sons is the next Shigeru Miyamoto and he goes on to create the next, killer app on the level of Mario Brothers or Zelda. I don't know. So I'm going to support them to chase it.
Yeah, and you might go even with the baseball dream into like a whole nother career and everything. I think that both me and Jatobi know a gentleman that was very much involved in the Durham kind of city community and everything. And his son was very much on the brink of being a great baseball player and everything. But he unfortunately did not have the luck and definitely had some injuries and everything else. But I don't think that Mr. Kalkoff's son has done all that bad as a entrepreneur after the baseball career flamed out, as I recall. Am I getting the story slightly mixed up? But I do remember that he was definitely looking at a strong baseball career until he got injured, and that being one of our major downtown Durham development people.
By the way, before we go into that, I mean, Nivix just brought up a great point, and it has to be said because, again, still going through those barriers and breaking down things. This game here, I don't know, Jed, if you know about Moss, but sign language. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's individuals with disabilities. They have a whole nother battle and a whole nother barrier that we ignore. And then on top of that, they are in the gaming world, being in that minority, they are also picked on. Yeah. And so I think this right here, I am so happy Nivix brought this one up because Moss is one of the,
I've never heard of this game, but this is interesting.
Really? Oh yeah.
He's Moss so adorable.
Here, I'll put on let me turn the audio on. Yeah. Moss is the mouse. It's a VR game. It's phenomenal. A phenomenal game. I haven't put it on my Quest yet. I've been meaning to. But yeah.
Oh, Nivix, you have really delivered some awesome content to us today. Who are you? Come on this show one day.
Reveal.
Who are you? Little John, bring him on too.
But yeah.
That's a cool idea. And then it reaches out, like you were saying, to a segment of the gaming community that forgotten about.
Nivix said he just dropped you a LinkedIn, Kara.
Whoa! Thank you, dear sir. Oh, that is cool. Thank you. I know your name now.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's on pretty much every VR platform that's out there.
That's a cool idea.
That's so cool.
I like it.
And if I remember, there's Moss 2, which is on the way out or coming out soon. But yeah.
Thank you so much for. Wow, this is cool.
Yeah, I like that game. I even like the butterfly flying in the background.
It was like American Tales, you know, like the little mouse, and you like, oh.
But yeah, that's Moss. That's Moss.
Video game developers need, or in the video game developing world, they need more people like that that can look at a game and go, yeah, I can just make a game, but what else can I do with it? Where else can I take this medium? Who else can I reach?
And I think that is what developers need to do. That's what I think a lot of designers want to do. But then you've also got the financiers, like Peter Monalou, when we talked about Fable and everything else. Peter Monalou was, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. It's, an interesting last name. But his whole company was Black and White. They made these. The genre was God games, where basically it's a top down. You control what's going on, like The Sims and everything else are considered quote unquote God games because you're controlling the stuff. But he had a game called Black and White, and even some other ones before that. And in Black and White, you're basically controlling a colony of people or a village, and you are you control the deity that they are I guess worshiping, and that is that deity that protects you from other deities that are trying to attack you. And so what he tried to do is add consequence to a lot of his games and choice, and that's another way. So not really saying that Moss is exactly the same, but it's another way of teaching individuals there's consequences to your actions. Right. Moss is teaching you about sign language and some other things as you play the game. It's just, again, the point of the show is,
and sometimes along those same lines, to Toby, there are games that even help people deal with issues. I'm thinking that I was trying to look it up online, but I remember there was a game that came out, I think last year or earlier this year, that part of the whole concept of the game, it was designed by, I want to say somebody from one of the African nations, but the whole concept of the game was to try to help us deal with hunger, particularly hunger in the African nation.
There was a game that was like that. There was a game that dealt with war, where you were struggling. You were caught in the middle of, I think it was the World War II, and you had to fight. You didn't really have to go out and fight. You're trying to just survive.
This War of Mine.
Yes.
Yeah, I just got that on PlayStation 4 like a week ago.
It is disturbing and hurts because the goal isn't, you're not fighting people. You're trying to protect your family and live.
Yes. And if you do fight,
so you're civilians.
Yeah, that's what you are.
And if you do fight, like I made the mistake in my first, I'm still in the middle of my first playthrough, but I went into a place to scavenge for some supplies and for food, because everyone in my commune was starving. So I was looking for food, and there happened to be other people in this place that I was scavenging, and they came at me. And so I had to defend myself, and I ended up killing a few people. Well, when my character got back home, he had an emotional breakdown. And he like he sat down on the floor, and all he could do was go, I can't believe I had to kill. I can't believe I had to kill. What have I become? What has this world turned me into? And you couldn't use him. Like, I couldn't get him to move. He wouldn't, but no matter what input you used in the controller, he wouldn't move or do anything because he emotionally shut down.
And there's I showed Mark. I don't know if you've seen. Well, actually, I think I showed you too, Kara. But the game Detroit Becoming Human.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole series of games. There's a whole genre of games that are like that. Like Life is Strange is also a game similar to that, based on choices. And your choices, if you, as you saw in Detroit, if you said something incorrectly, you were the one that caused the death of somebody. We didn't make it to actually we did, Mark, where we made it to the point where you were bought off of a line and you had to decide if you were going to intervene between this parent who was a deadbeat dad, who was an alcoholic,
right,
before he goes and abuses his daughter, who is scared to death. So, I mean, there are games and developers that are pushing stuff like that, but we also have to look at the games such as, I mean, going back to Fortnite, your Grand Theft Autos, your Rainbow Sixes, they also have positives in that same light that we can point to parents and say, Fortnite teaches you a lot about building and in a three-dimensional space. Do you know how many companies would hire your son if they are able to build, create the architecture they do within the game? Could you imagine how many architects are, what they could design using a CAD studio?
Right.
So
yes.
Rainbow Six, yes, it's a first-person shooter. It's a team shooter. What about the communication within that game? How do you communicate and give a detailed view of exactly where you are and strategize against another group that's trying to take you out? So there are things that we can, I guess, getting back to the original discussion of what this show is about and what you do, Jed, it's completely in line with each other. But if we could, hopefully at some point we'll get parents to see this, as well as kids seeing more than just a shooter.
Exactly.
Your son can help me develop a health video game.
Great idea.
Unfortunately, I think my older two would probably be more interested in developing a shooter.
But the trick will be to not make it boring.
That's the first-person shooter part.
So I guess the question is,
nutritionist gone wild.
Kara, can we have
eat kale again?
Can we have the shooting element with the vegetables? So I guess we got to figure out how to tie the vegetables into the shooting.
That's Plants vs. Zombies.
I was thinking something like that.
You're eating an imbalanced diet again? No carbs in your meals? Of course you're going crazy. Yeah. And then cue in the carb-starved person. Fixing people with a fork.
Okay. I guess since we are at 2.5 hours, and we'll let people. My name is. Okay, that's funny. Nivix just wrote, "My name is Bayamax." Awesome. But I guess we'll let people get back to their day. But before we go, as we close out the show every week, Jed, you go first. Tell people how they can find you, so they can follow and read your columns. Let them know.
All right. My column is right now at 411 Mania in the games section. It's called the Gamer Parent Strategy Guide. I also have a podcast of the same name. It's available on just about every one of your major podcast distributors. So Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor, whatever. So just look Gamers Parent Strategy Guide. I do have a Facebook page for that at Gamer Parent Strategy Guide. And you can follow me on Twitter at StreetsAjed.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's a play on the community, the line from Community.
Nice. All right, Kara, take it away.
Okay, guys. So you can check me out. Just Google Deepened Roots Health Coaching, or you can check me out on deepenyourroots.com, or look me up on Facebook, Deepened Roots Health Coaching, Instagram at Deepened Roots Health Coaching. So
All right, Mark, you got to follow that one.
Yeah, that's a lot to follow
if
and
you
everything.
want to know about, how you can improve your nutrition, maybe carbs terrify you. Maybe you can't roll away from the carbs and you can't get enough of them and you just need a little assistance, or maybe you just need help with your overall health goals. Just look me up. So there you go.
Era is totally amazing, and definitely folks need to be looking her up. You can find me if you're looking at doing some events either on this platform as well as other platforms, or if you're just interested in learning about the various shows that I have on the international broadcast media. But we definitely help with the planning of events as well as a number of other things. But you can find me on most social media at Lee Entertainment 62, or if LinkedIn, it's LinkedIn/N and Blues Radio. But most of the platforms you can find me, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or a number of the other ones, at Lee Entertainment 62. And right now, speaking of food and all of that, I'm having a very serious dilemma because I've not had my lunch today. So I'm having a very late lunch, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I'm going to order off of DoorDash. I found an amazing restaurant that looks like it has some great food. There might even be some seafood, but they don't have any drinks. Who ever heard of a restaurant that doesn't have drinks at all? So like I said, I'm really liking this Justin's Bar and everything. And they even got bar in the title, but they don't have drinks in there and everything. So I think I'm going to get some seafood, but I'm going to have to get some drinks from someplace else because this lovely place does not have any drinks whatsoever in any of their categories, even under the side. So that's my dilemma at the moment. But I'm sitting there going like, how can you not have any drinks? So you're going to have to explain that to me, Toby, how they have a whole restaurant somewhere on Main Street not have any drinks whatsoever.
That was a long rant. I hope you get food soon.
He is very angry about the drink situation.
Yeah. I want you guys to read into what he was actually saying. So Mark rambled because he didn't want to point out that he had some food coming from another lady who's going to give him another balloon in the background. That's really what he tried to cover up.
Down should go wow.
No, I hate to tell y'all this, but COVID, as me and my friend Zach have said on several platforms and everything, has really destroyed a lot of social life and all of that. So, like I said, that's not been happening anytime in the recent future. And when I've got friends that are in other parts of the globe and everything, that's not helping either. So, that being said, I don't think that that's going to be any sure of that anytime in the immediate future. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Who is that man? Mark.
So I guess that's going to close us out for this week. Jed, please keep in touch because, like I said, we will use your articles and definitely come back on. We're going to have a lot more fun with Gamers Den stuff. Thank everybody for watching. I guess we will see everybody next Thursday at 12 o'clock for the Gamers Den snack time.
Kind of catchy.
All right. We're going to keep it. All right. See everybody later.
Bye.
Bye.